Thank you, Vice President Coors. My friends, you have a fabulous NRA museum at your headquarters in Fairfax. Also, at the end of this summer, we'll be opening a large additional joint firearm and hunting museum in Springfield, Missouri, at Bass Pro Shops headquarters. This is a gift of our great friend and patriot, Johnny Morris, the owner of Bass Pro Shops. So go see it and thank Johnny Morris. There are a lot of gun owners in America, about 100 million. Sounds like many, but we need a lot. With billions of dollars from the likes of George Soros against us, along with the federal government in anti-gun hands, most of the national news media anti-gun and anti-hunting. So like old Ben Franklin said, we'd better hang together or we'll surely hang separately. Among us are 10 to 15 million hunters, and they're under severe attack. Hunter numbers are under pressure by the federal and some state governments. If we allow those government agencies to force hunter numbers down, like they have in jolly old England and Europe, those England and European gun bans and hunting bans will become our gun bans and hunting bans. At NRA, 4 million members, we are the largest hunting organization. Is there something we can realistically do to protect hunting? Well, first of all, who's being driven out? Who is never starting to hunt? The biggest group are those I call vulnerable hunters. The most vulnerable hunters, the guy who punches a time clock or works at the gas station. The guy at the gas station only has a short time and little money to devote to hunting, no time to spend running errands for the game agency. And there's the 15-year-old kid trying to start hunting or scrape together enough to keep going. The single mom struggling to get her kid started. Some look down their noses at these vulnerable hunters. Some say, if you can't afford to play, if you won't take the time to study the 100 pages of rules, then go take up bowling. Well, unfortunately, that's exactly what a lot of people are doing, and if they keep doing it, hunting will be as dead here as it is in England. Hunting will be dead for all the hunters at this great convention. Hunting will be dead for all the vendors here making stuff we like. Even the fish and game agencies who make all the rules and red tape, they too will be gone. And here's a shock to the anti-hunters. Most of the game will be gone too. Game that then will have no value but devours crops and crashes into cars and sometimes even eats hikers. Those nuisance animals will be eradicated by landowners protecting their crops and eventually even by the government. Hunting gives game value. These vulnerable hunters make up way over half of all people who hunt. That means they're the people who form the big numbers, the voting base that gives hunting its life and keeps the Second Amendment healthy. You hunters pay the bills. You pay the salaries. You keep the game coming. You're the customer, and you need to be treated like the customer. It doesn't have to be complicated. We should remember we're hunting. We're not flying an airliner on instruments or running a bank with other people's life savings in it. We're not designing a heart-lung machine. It had better be fun and easy to do. You shouldn't need a lawyer. How can we fix this? We can use our muscle and demand more public hunting and shooting lands. We can recruit our kids and grandkids and friends to go hunting. We can stop the complicated overregulation that's killing it. We hunters are sometimes going along with this suicide. Every year we cut off the bottom rung of the most vulnerable hunters. We drive them out by the thousands. We do it by allowing red tape. We do it by allowing restrictions on places to hunt and shoot and getting ready to go hunting. Yes, of course there must be rules for seasons and numerical limits on the amount of game and areas and zones for taking game and the type and age and size and sex of game to be taken. These are normal tools for managing game and nobody objects to that. But we're at a balance point with complicated rules, with inadvertent violation of rules that were created with the full knowledge they would produce many unintentional violations carefully crafted to fill the game agency's coffers with cash, with convenience of enforcement violations designed solely to make a game warden's job less work. Hunters are increasingly fed up with these things, and unfortunately, they're leaving the field. The result, fewer hunters. It's killing hunters. The chicken feces regulations of arrests and citations, they have a purpose. I know this will surprise you, but the purpose is money and reduce work for the game agency employee. They produce revenue for the bureaucrats through the fines and when they seize your car and your boat and your gun. That makes a cottage industry out of issuing tickets for technical violations. Now let's be clear. Our examination of hunters' rights and the abuse of those rights is not to shield the guilty, but rather to protect the innocent from being treated like the guilty by hostile government. But if we stand by while even a few more hunters are driven out, if our numbers sink down to 8 or 9 million, we'll reach the point of no return, and that's what these anti-hunting people want. The animal rights crazies, the anti-gun nuts, the government rule-making bureaus, they'll not only win an occasional battle, they'll win all the battles. They'll win more and more referendums. They'll win more and more legislative bans. Their anti-hunting propaganda will totally dominate the press, even at the local level. The trickle of ever-accumulating rules and red tape and costs will become a torrent. The few remaining hunters will not be powerful enough to stop this assault. It's all in the numbers. If we're big, we're strong. If we get smaller, we're weak, too weak. We must never allow policies that make the lives of the innocent miserable in order to make it easier to catch a few of the guilty. If a new law or rule cannot be proven to be absolutely necessary to the perpetuation of game, if it adds new red tape, if it creates new arrest risk for silliness, if its real purpose is to raise money through fines for accidental violations, then it's time to say no. If to catch one violator, we harass and insult 50 law-abiding hunters with aggressive tactics, we must say no. Now, here's the news. We're entering the most dangerous period in our history. Everything I just said about hunting applies to threats to self-defense and to gun ownership itself. More than ever before, we must all listen intently. Listen intently. When Wayne sounds the alarm over the next 6 months, an alarm to take action, an alarm to spread our message, an alarm to get out and vote, and to get every relative and friend and gun owner to the polls, he won't be kidding. It's time. We're all in.